How is it going, people? We are back again with someone special. But before that, it's me, Sunaid. You guys know the regulars on our pod. Farooq. We have been doing this over the past 6-7 months, and we have had the absolute pleasure of having Big Steve on before from the Big Six, and this is another MVP. He's known as the man with the receipts. He's part of the Football Men Collective, who talks real football, not just the non-tangibles of the game. A huge Arteta enthusiast. Not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of that, but this guy needs no introduction. Grizz is also known for taking a back seat when all the others are throwing knives at each other. Like he moves in silence. He's a silent assassin, and it's really fun, man. What you guys are doing. How are you doing, bro, Grizz? Like, how are you feeling?
Listen, I'm absolutely not worthy of that introduction, but I'm absolutely humbled to be here. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for asking me on, especially for such a magnificent game. So, absolute pleasure to be on. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure as well, bro. Before we get down to the nitty gritty, we got to talk about the incredible Liverpool Premier League run. How at some point in the last season, even the staunchest of Liverpool supporters, I think, felt that there is going to be a downward curve in the general progression of the club. But yeah, it was mainly due to a huge string of injuries to first 11 players and also the substitutes as well. Grizz, talk me through the importance of this relentless nature of Liverpool. You see the media, the pundits, everybody going in on City. Like they are the exemplary. What do you say? A benchmark in how you go on about business in the league. This stat is mad. Liverpool had 390+ point seasons in the last 4 years, and they have just one title. Ferguson won 13 titles with never having a point tally above 91. Just tell me, does it make you tired?
It's heartbreaking. If you want my honest opinion, it's heartbreaking when you see that, because you're right. The facts, the history books will say at the moment, obviously, we don't know what the future holds. And I'd like to think that in his 4 years that remains, we will, inshallah, we will win one more title for sure. League title. But at the moment, as we are talking in 2022, what you said is factual. We have one league title in those years, despite having reached 97 points, 92 points, 99 points. It's insane levels of point scoring. And that's because we're up against a juggernaut. Let's call a spade a spade. Man City are not an ordinary club. And I mean that, and I don't mean that to have a dig at them straight away, but they can look at it how they want. But the truth of the matter is, they've won the lottery, right? So when you have owners come in of the levels, riches, and the levels that they can sort of reach out to, it's very difficult to compete. It's fair to say, done it in a totally different way, a more organic way.
Can I just interrupt you for a second, Chris? Like it's a bit unrelated, but on the last Big Six show, like I said, I've been watching it every day, all throughout the past 1.5 years. But on the last show, you guys Like Turkish actually went in first. He said Real Madrid usually get their way with Mbappe and whatnot, So like eventually everybody backed that. Like even you did, to a point that that's the only silver lining to the situation. Aren't we better than the oil clubs, Grizz, in how we go about business?
As in Real Madrid per se, or generally?
Yeah, Real Madrid.
It's difficult. It's difficult to explain, probably in one show. It's a deep subject because you have to know, you have to understand and contextualize the history of the likes of Real Madrid. And maybe some won't know, but you also had a country backing you for many, many years. So it's a different type of backing. It's not. Sure. It's not similar to 2022. But the momentum you gained and the commercial revenue and avenues that were open to you, very similar to Man United in the UK Premier League, are comparable. So it's not the same as one tycoon coming in, one oil state coming in. But there is elements of saying that when the likes of Man United, when the likes of Real Madrid, when the likes of you develop this history, legacy, size, nature, commercially, it's related. You cannot deny that it's not. So,
but I would argue that was maybe for the best part of 10 years, and this was way back when. Like, don't you think the landscape of football has completely changed since then? And
it absolutely has. It absolutely has. But when you speak to Man City fans, they will argue with the histories of these great clubs and say everyone started off somewhere. Everyone needed a bunk up, so to speak. Their bunk up was more extreme and absolutely in your face. So we can see it and it's apparent and it's now. And I agree, it's a total different way of doing it. Like
PSG has recorded losses of over 400 million. That's
absolutely, it's gross. It's gross. It's crazy. But so that's how I was saying, back to the original point of sort of the question you asked about Liverpool. We've done it totally different.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to think that most rational, logical, neutral fans would be able to appreciate that more, that we've done it far more organically. And so therefore, when you're competing against this $1 billion squad over the last few years, on top of having, for me, one of the most elite football coaches of all time in Pep Guardiola, it's difficult to break that stranglehold. And we've broken it once, and twice we've taken to the last day. Simultaneously winning, of course, now League Cups and FA Cups and Champions Leagues, simultaneously running runners up in a Champions League, as you guys know, against you guys, and hopefully winning another one. I do feel we need to win this one to make the Pep and Klopp era more comparable, because then we can say 2 Champions Leagues and a league title, which is, in my humble opinion, the pinnacle of every club's ambitions. The Champions League.
Actually, Grizz, sorry for interrupting you once more. So I was actually you made a sentence by like competing a $1 billion squad, right? Competing against a $1 billion squad. But you have another $1 billion squad, right? Same in the same Manchester, right? So I feel like it's kind of an disservice, it's this kind of disservice to, to the Manchester City group as a whole, because these are a group that has won 7 titles in 11 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. You understand? And like when you kind of make the point about spending the money and all that, as Sunil directly pointed out, Paris has spent this money. United literally has a couple of fullbacks, which cost the same amount as Cancelo and Kyle Walker as well, and they're nowhere as good. You compare the centre backs, the likes of Harry Maguire, to the purchase of the likes of Ruben Diaz. You compare the purchase of Paul Pogba to the purchase of Kevin De Bruyne and the likes. So I feel, obviously, like the support has been there, like, which has been really gigantic. We can compare, but we need to also give credit to what the group has done as a whole, and not just to Guardiola, because
There's-
this structure predates Guardiola actually. So I think
There's-
we need to give credit there.
There's no doubt. I'm not denying that. That's what I'm saying. I call them the juggernaut and an elite coach, which I didn't say for PSG or the other examples you gave. So if you ask me what's the problem with PSG, I would say they haven't got the elite coach. They haven't got the structure and organization and the level of purchases that Man City have. So I was about to add that this is what we're up against. We're not up against just money. We're also up against, as I said, one of the most elite football coaches of all time in Pep Guardiola. So it's not so much a disservice to Man City, but it's more praising my club and the way we've done it and approached it. They are absolutely free to do how they want to operate, buy players. We would all do the same. If we had the owners, we would all defend them and the way they do things. I'm not here I'm not here to talk them down and talk ill of them because they are domestic kings. They own the Premier League for the last whatever years. Yeah, four titles in 5 years. You know, we're the only ones who are relevant in this, and hugely relevant though. But we're not just the noisy. You know, we take away last season, like Mohammed said. Take away last season. You know, we're the only ones that have obliterated the league. You know, the other 3 times we've taken it to the last day, and at the end of the day, you have to hold your hands up. The league never lies. They've been the most consistent in the Premier League without a shadow of a doubt. So look, it's not about talking them down. They're allowed to do what they want. They have a fantastic squad of players. But the facts are they are £1.6 billion squad. I don't think we are a £1.6 billion squad. So your comparison is a little bit...
Sure, valid. So can I extend my question, Grizz? So the point now is you actually made a point about the fact that winning that second Champions League, hopefully you guys don't, on Saturday, coupled with your Premier League, that becomes 2 Champions League and 1 Premier League. So that's, as you said, like it makes the club Guardiola era much more interesting and comparable. But I feel, what do you think history will remember Liverpool life if you guys lose the game on Saturday and Klopp was to leave the day after? It's been 5 seasons and literally just a piece of every single trophy.
So look, in his time here, he's completed the set. He's won every single trophy. We also have to start from the starting blocks and base which Klopp had and the base Pep Guardiola had. Man City were winning Premier Leagues before Pep.
Yeah.
Liverpool wasn't. We were, when Klopp took over, we were comparable to the Man United of today. So think about what I'm saying there.
I gotta say far better than today's United.
But what I'm saying is, like, we finished sixth or seventh. I can't remember.
Actually, I'd argue that the current Manchester United was better than the version of Liverpool I knew in the past, because you had the likes of Jonjo Shelvey and you
have the players,
the Andy Carrolls.
It's as I said, it's comparable. It's comparable. That's what I'm saying. So the job that Jurgen Klopp has had to do, you know, I'd like to think outside of Liverpool fans will see it and appreciate it. But on the other hand, I don't really care if people don't. I'm one of those guys where I know the job we've done. And now, 5 years later, 6 years later, we're pretty much it's fair to say, one of, if not the 2 best teams in the world right now. I don't think many would argue. And that's quite a turnaround in 5-6 years from you agree that we were probably in a worse state than Man United, or you know, it's comparable, right? We're losing 6-1 to Stoke.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So we're coming from a place of and he's not being given £200 million to spend every summer. He's had to sell Coutinho, Suarez, you know, whoever, Balotelli, whoever, all these players he's had to sell.
Thanks for Coutinho though, you know. Yeah,
say again?
Good to say that. Thanks for Coutinho though. Like,
exactly. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to Coutinho, thanks to everyone. It's the, you know, so the way he's done it and had to do it, he's had to be smart, relying on recruitment, relying on his man management skills. It's a total different way. And I think people underplay it, and history won't contextualize the job he's done. But that's the way football is. That's the way football is.
I'm pretty sure that there's this cliche that unless you win something, people tend to forget whatever you did in a particular season. But I don't think
this quadruple has never been done before, and the reason why it's never been done before, it's nigh on impossible, because you have to be perfect in every single competition, near enough in every single game. We have a draw and we feel like a defeat. That's the level playing we had.
Yeah.
So it's arguable to say, if it's not arguable actually, it's a foregone conclusion to say, if, and it's a mighty if, because we're going to come on to talk about your club as well, if we win the Champions League, it's fair to say we've had the most successful season any club in Europe. I don't think anyone would argue.
You mean for this season or in general?
Yeah, for this season.
Okay, absolutely.
No, this season, of course. Yeah.
Actually, let me add this, Grizz. Actually, for me personally, I feel like consistency is the key. You understand? I feel like it's easier to win the Champions League and it's more difficult to win the league. And the only reason why I bring this up is I feel like consistency is the key. And in my personal opinion, I feel like even if Liverpool were to lose the Champions League final on Saturday, I consider the season a really, really great success, in the sense that, as you said, like even a draw, like, you have to literally be focused for 90 full minutes for about 70 games a season. Like, that's unprecedented, unheard of in history of football.
Farouk, we've played and we will play every single game we entered. Every competition we've entered, we played every single game. This is on the back of so many pundits in the UK Premier League.
Yeah.
Talking us of third at best, maybe not even top four. Not enough squad players, not enough depth, reliant on injury-prone players. Virgil, is he going to be back? Fabinho, is he going to be injured? Henderson is old. Milner is old. Mane is old, finished. Bobby is old. Salah, will he be able to carry on at those levels? All these accusations were thrown at Klopp. He won't be able to rebuild this team, only because people didn't understand the depth of our injuries and the personal tragedies our squad went through. Alisson loses his father. Jurgen Klopp loses his mother. They're not allowed to see them during pandemic. Can you imagine the personal trauma these guys went through on top of COVID and lockdown? I don't know if you guys watched the Big Six last season when everyone was saying, "Oh, Grizz, accept it." I said, when they're back, I'm going to talk. Next season, let it start, and the big dogs are back, and we will talk. And at the end of the season, I'm talking. We're literally in every final. We are one Champions League away from an amazing season, which I forecast because I knew the mentality and the squad this guy has developed, Jurgen Klopp.
Absolutely. Liverpool are the only team to be unbeaten in Premier League 2022. That's insane in itself. 16 wins and 3 draws. That's something.
51 points out of 55 since January. Since we got all the injuries back and everything, it just shows you. But look, alas, I agree with Farouk to a point and degree that the Premier League is the hardest league to win. And because at the early start of the season, you have to remember all the guys that had season-ending injuries from the previous season were coming back from long-term injuries, and we dropped a few points in the early part of the season. And that's cost us literally 1 point. One of those draws against Brighton, Spurs, Leicester we lost to, all these, Brentford. Can you guys really imagine us doing that since January? No, it was the early season where a lot of players were coming back from injury. And we messed up with too many draws. Not even losses, too many draws. We've lost twice all season, man. That's quite insane.
Fucking Spurs, bro. I hated it. I hated watching it, but yeah.
It is what it is. You have to be perfect. Conte done a magnificent job on us. Sometimes you have to credit the opposition. He came with a plan. We were in one of those patches where we had to play every 3 days perfectly. Cup final, semi-final, Champions League, then the league again. It was non-stop. And we messed up. And how did we mess up? By a draw, not even a defeat. That's the levels we're playing with.
Absolutely. But there's a chance for more history being written in 5 days' time. And I can't stress the magnitude of this fixture simply because people sometimes tend to underline the fact that only a small pool of the top clubs make it to a Champions League final, and it gets boring and whatnot. But the mere heritage, that's heritage, like how says it, Mourinho says it, the mere heritage of heritage and pedigree of Liverpool and Real Madrid in Europe is I think only matched by Milan, and it's, in my opinion, down to the ability to create something out of nothing. Even in the worst of seasons, somehow they find a way to bring the European Cup home. And like, if I remember from my childhood, I wasn't following football back then because I was just 10 years old, but I still remember reading about how Liverpool came back from 3-0 down in Istanbul against one of the greatest Milan sides to have graced the game. The likes of Seedorf, the likes of Shevchenko, the likes of Crespo, Kaká. It was a mad thing to do. Even when you reflect upon it all these years later, Grizz, how much do you think that has helped you in a period where you were on the downward spiral?
Look, the sign of a great club, institution, call it what you want, is even the times of darkness, as they were domestically. You know, we were going through a very rough patch. You still manage to make memories. You still manage to pick up trophies, whether they are the League Cup or the odd FA Cup.
Yeah.
You know, for me, that's the sign of a great heritage and institution, like of yourself and us. So look, people speak about, you know, that team under Rafa Benitez, and my God, you know, it wasn't the greatest, and we were up against one of the greatest recently European teams of all time. You know, Kaká, Gattuso, Pirlo, Maldini, just to name a few, Shevchenko. You know, this is a legacy AC Milan team we were up against. And look, very similar to sort of Madrid in this campaign, you could possibly say, where you've not been the better team in a lot of your opponents, against a lot of your opponents, but it's that heritage that's come to it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory. It's club's muscle memory, that who we are, where we are. And, you know, AC Milan may have underestimated us at halftime, but somehow Steven Gerrard and Rafa Benitez, you know, reminded them at halftime that, look, we may not be the greatest team right now in Europe. I'm talking about then, right, in that final 3.5 time. But we're still Liverpool Football Club. We still have got heritage and history in this competition, unlike many Premier League teams, right? Absolutely. They might have the money and whatever, Chelsea at that time, you know, whatever, whoever, they've got the money and everything. They haven't got our history, so let's turn this around. So these things, and not only that, I mean, obviously since then, how many comebacks have you guys probably seen and heard of at Anfield, and where the comeback, look, Barcelona, the most recent, is it probably the most recent? Well, loads. Even Villarreal in the semi-final. We have this, it's in our DNA. It's in our DNA.
I still remember watching the Villarreal game, and Buendia and who was it, Capoue scored like inside the first 20-25 minutes. And to be frank, people talk all about the psychology and whatnot, but in that moment, anybody can falter. You know, like it's bound to be a shock, like for sure. You come in with a 2-0 lead, and then you're instantly put under adversity. And the character that you guys showed is again incredible. The run-in would have been easy, the draws would have been easy and whatnot. So have other teams in the past, you know. It's the way how you deal with what's in front of you, and how Liverpool went about their business that day is also another ode to days like Istanbul. People like Didi Hamann, people like Xabi Alonso, people like Rize, they are not the all-time greats. They are not world-class players then, but they somehow managed to, do the unthinkable.
Milan Baros we had up front as our striker.
Yeah.
Very one-dimensional striker, but this is it. People say it was the Steven Gerrard. Of course, Steven Gerrard is one of the all-time greats, but that was it. That was literally it. The rest of Sami Hyypiä was good.
Yeah.
But the rest of the team, Jimmy Traore we had, but it's this, again, we can go into your team. We can start talking about Madrid, and I can, I think you guys may admit that you haven't got a team of the most talented Madrid players ever, but you've got that, you've got that mentality that you can call upon, and that's what Liverpool done, and that's what they do. And look, sorry, a long-winded answer. It absolutely makes me happy and proud that we have this in our DNA and the heritage is there, and it's not a myth. It's not a social media myth or a name that we just throw out and just use to banter clubs and other fans. You have to see it and believe it, and you have to watch it. And we do it year in, year out, year in. Even last season, guys, to finish third after the season we had, to come back from the depths of 10 points behind.
Oh my God! Like how can you even put that into?
I don't know how you explain that in normal real life terms. Like you speak about fairy tales and like you guys the other day against City. How do you explain to your children that you guys were up against one of the best teams in recent history?
And nobody gave us a chance. Nobody.
You was 30 seconds away from elimination.
Yeah.
And totally outplayed in both legs.
Yep.
Yet you had 3 minutes of heritage rescue you. And this is it. This is what great clubs do. It's in their DNA. Even when they're not at their best, they do something special that creates memories forever and ever.
So, Grizz, actually, something came to my mind right now, actually. So, in 2018, right, you guys, I think it was 2019? Yeah, it was 2019. You guys played Barcelona, right? Lost 3-0 at the Camp Nou and came back to Anfield. For me personally, I feel like that game at Anfield was a turning point for Klopp and his players. That was the game that actually eventually at the end of the season, they had 97 points and still didn't win the league and they won the Champions League. But I feel like after that game, like a sense of belief just came back to both the fans and the players. Like, okay, obviously, like you could see like the fans and the players, like that's the thing that Klopp has done very well. He has bridged that gap between the fans and the players. Because I remember when I was watching Liverpool in my early years, like there was this huge gap between the fans and the players. I'm talking about in the 7, 8, 9, 10 years. But after Klopp came, he tried to bridge that. But I feel like that game was like, a key game in the Liverpool, in Klopp's tenure. Like that was the game that actually turned doubters to believers, to use Klopp's words. I don't know what you think about that game exactly.
Mythical, magical, unbelievable. You talk about no chance about Madrid and City. There is not a soul in even Liverpool that believed that could happen. You have to remember we had no Mohamed Salah and Bobby Firmino for that game.
Yeah.
People forget that. People actually forget that. Fabinho takes a yellow card in the first 20 minutes. So Fabinho and James Milner in midfield and Henderson. And people forget that. But again, it's magical. It's absolute magical nights. We're up against Suarez, Coutinho, Messi. Are you serious? Are you serious? 1 goal from them and we're finished. We need 5. But it's I can't explain that. You can't explain these games. Belief-wise, you have to remember we were magnificent that season. So the belief was there. We were magnificent that season. 97 points. Wow. Yeah. So the belief was there, but it was such a setback in Barcelona. And even the Barcelona, it wasn't a 3-0 game. It flattered them. We had chances and chances and chances, but we didn't score. So it flattered us, and we were heartbroken because we had just lost the Premier League to a Vincent Kompany. Again, an unreal goal that beat us. Vincent Kompany, 30 yards outside of his foot, puts it in the top corner. He tries that 100 times, 98 times, 99 times, it won't work. But that one time it puts the league out of our hand, loses us the league. We were so depressed because only the Champions League could rescue that.
Yeah.
But yet we're 3-0 down. So we were despondent and down as a fan base, I have to admit. But by the time we dealt with Barcelona, I was the most confident I've ever been that I don't care what happens, Spurs is not stopping us. Like, it wasn't arrogance, it was confidence of the highest extreme. Because I knew this team was unbeatable by then. Even though it was not our best performance in the final itself, I knew we're going to get the job done. So yeah, look, I get what you're saying in terms of doubters to believers. In fact, I think that was solidified it. You're right, Farouk. I agree with you. That solidified our belief.
That's what Champions League royalty brings in teams with that amount of pedigree, because you contrast it with the Istanbul game. The Spurs final was one of the worst finals I've seen. Like, it for a neutral, at least it was absolutely drab. But when you actually talk about heritage and moments, we talked about Istanbul, but Grizz, do you remember when Ramos scored the equalizer in the 92nd minute in 2014? Can you tell me anything that you remember from when you heard of it or when you came to know of it?
Atletico?
Atletico.
Atletico. Of course, I'm a real football man. You should know this. I'm a real football man.
Did you happen to watch the game?
Yeah, listen, I very rarely miss the big games. Very rarely. These days it's a little bit hard because just, work and stuff and so busy. But come on, man. This is Real Madrid. This is why you're Real Madrid. You're the opposite of chokers. You're the opposite of that. You bring back life. You bring back life when there's no belief. This is what you guys are comparable to us. This is heritage. No one believed that. No one could believe. Atletico again were the better team. My memory serves me right. They were the better team. They were heartbroken. Simeone, I'm not his biggest fan by far. But it is what it is. That's his methodology. That's his style. I guess if he's in charge of you, you love him.
Definitely.
But as an opponent, it's not for me. But that, what can you say? That Ramos is, again, forgive me if you disagree, but in my opinion, not the best defender Real Madrid has ever had, but the most clutch. But the most clutch defender you've ever had, in my opinion. You guys will know more because it's your club and your opinions will carry more weight. But for me, he's the most clutch defender, because obviously he started at right back. But he's the most clutch defender I can remember in your history. I can't think of someone more, come up in big moments.
More decisive than Ramos. Fair play.
But he's not. But looking at from a defender, from a talent,
he was not the most aesthetically pleasing defender.
Reliable, even. He'd make rash mistakes, red cards, etc., etc.
That was an anomaly, especially in the latter parts of his career, though, Chris. He was very harsh in how he launched and whatnot during the midway point of his career. But I think post 2014, Ramos really stepped up in every manner.
Yeah, look. Again, he was very much a front foot defender. What I mean by front foot, very aggressive. That's his style.
In your face.
So you needed to be coached very well. These kind of defenders and centre backs have to have a coach that understands that this is their game. So they don't want to take that out of their game. They don't want to take, because that's their nature. But then you have to, the team around them, your fullbacks have to be more maybe in tune. Your fellow centre back has to be more calm, maybe. But as a Madrid, you can imagine absolutely loving Sergio Ramos being part of your team.
Definitely, 100%. So let me just throw this there. Grizz was we're the opposite of chokers. So we're just literally the opposite of the North London clubs, Arsenal and Spurs, I guess.
Hey, I didn't
No.
say it. You said it. But that's true.
I like Arsenal, but these guys, they give me a hard time, Grizz. I need your, vouching for me to get the ball.
Why do they give you a hard time about what? What can they possibly give you a hard time about?
Because we choked top 4 literally 2 days ago, Grizz. It's mad. It's mad. But yeah, Arsenal.
Yeah,
Arsenal is another topic.
Yeah, exactly. I don't, we argue that we spend too much time on Spurs and Arsenal in the Big Six. So I don't want to be a hypocrite and spend too much time on Arsenal and Spurs in this show. Less said better.
Absolutely. Talking about that tie, right? Like, we have to put this fixture into perspective. This fixture holds so much more than history and big moments. We have played each other thrice, I think, in 1981 when Alan Kennedy won you guys the European Cup, which was held in the same stadium that it's going to be held in Saturday. And then we faced you guys in the 2018 final and on Saturday as well. So the clear matchup is brimming with history. The only managers to win 3 Champions League titles: Zizou, Carlo Ancelotti, and Bob Paisley. Like one of the all-time great British managers of his time. When you actually put the managers into perspective, you should also recall that Carlo has a very deep history with Liverpool, both as a player and as a manager. As a player, he, I think, faced you guys in the 1984 European Cup when he was playing with Roma, of course, which he lost on penalties, and then he faced you in Istanbul, and then he managed to avenge the loss in 2007, a couple of years later. And also,
Athens. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Athens.
No, like Athens. Yeah. He also has an affiliation with the Everton fan base as well. He was a role in his time over there. He had the first win at Anfield since '99, a 2-0 win, which was quite sensational in my opinion. And his record as Everton manager against Liverpool was 1 win, 2 draws, and a single loss. That's pretty impressive considering where Everton are in the Premier League pyramid. What do you have to say about Carlo's achievements? People tend to downplay it down to being just pure management skills rather than the technical nous of a man who has spanned over 3 decades in the game.
You can't deny it. You're a fool. You're a fool. I'm not going to mince my words. You're a fool if you don't understand Carlo Ancelotti's legacy and you just put it down to man management. I also add his Napoli record against us as a coach. So, he has a lot of history against us and with us. And if you want me to answer why, it's because he's a good coach. The Everton win at Anfield, I just want to remind you and your listeners and followers that wasn't so great because everyone beat us that season. Everyone, Burnley, local Sunday league team, everyone. Whoever had a team playing in the charity game, they come and beat us at Anfield that season. We had, Kabak and Reece Williams and these guys playing at the back. And
Kabak.
Yeah. No, I said to the Liverpool fan base, he's one of the worst centre backs. Please don't get excited about him. And I was proved right. They were like, my God, no, he's so good. And I said, no, I'm telling you, he's a disaster. And, I was proved right again. He's an absolute shocking player, in my opinion. But look, Carlo Ancelotti is a great coach, man. You don't do what he's done without being great. You don't fluke it. You don't fluke 3 decades, man. You don't get lucky. The story behind Carlo Ancelotti and Liverpool is very close as well. He was on a short list of us. We spoke to Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah.
Our owners spoke to Carlo Ancelotti, and
This is when?
Before Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, before Jurgen Klopp.
Oh, okay.
So it was Klopp or Ancelotti.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wanted Ancelotti, I'm not going to lie. But the reason why Ancelotti wasn't given the job is he demanded a rebuild of the squad with finances. And our owners are renowned not to be so generous with their funds. Whereas Jurgen Klopp understood the Moneyball policy and adhered to it and was a fan of it. And so they went for Jurgen Klopp. And the rest is history, as they say. But Carlo Ancelotti is an elite coach.
Klopp, when you mentioned Klopp, he actually had the plan as to how to work with low funds, especially in Dortmund. I want to come to you, Farouk. What do you think Klopp's legacy would be? Not in just Liverpool terms, but in general, as a manager who has always risen against all odds, to defy odds and constantly deliver with a tight, strung budget.
So I'll say this, like the point is like when you ask fans, people from Mainz, being, Borussia Dortmund and Liverpool, like everyone loves this guy to the beats, man. Everyone loves him to the bits. And I think for me personally, as Grizz pointed out earlier, that what happens is that eventually, like, I think a lot of club fans or followers don't really care what people on the outside think of him. Because not until you get into that, I would say, the calls of club, like, you wouldn't really tell what it is like. I feel like just even forget about the funds and, not having funds and building team from scratch and what is and what is not. I could remember, like, there was an interview with Gini Ronaldo before he went to PSG. And he was like, well, I was going to join from Newcastle. Klopp invited me to his home and we discussed for more than an hour and we didn't talk a single thing about football. Imagine, I'm sure like Grizz can, I don't know, testify to this or something. I remember this. And like, you can imagine what kind of coach does that, like he's going to sign you to, he has a very weak midfield and he's going to sign you. And literally he's not even asking you about the football and the tactics and what is not. So I think like that's the thing. And also let me just add something. A couple of weeks back, Pep was like, the world wants Liverpool to win the Premier League. I think it's not about that. It's about the fact that you can even find Manchester United fans who are the arch rivals of Liverpool. They all love Jurgen Klopp. So that's the thing. Like the man, he passes on like a very charismatic, very enthusiastic, and a very lovable person. So I think eventually, like when Klopp does calls the call, like he's gonna be remembered as one of those guys who was there because, how can I put it? Like he was a human being. Like he put himself on the level of every single person. And let me just add one thing as well. I remember as well, like when Klopp first came, he brought all the staffs at Liverpool, be it the cleaner, the janitor, whatever. He made everyone mention their name and everyone was addressed by their names. So you don't just go and like, hey, Mr. Janitor. No, it's Farouk. Whether I am the cleaner, whether I am the Philippe Coutinho, the star player of them, it doesn't really matter. So you can imagine like the person with this kind of mentality. So as I said, like people outside of the club might not know this. So because of that, they might not appreciate, what he puts into it. But I think the people who are connected to the club, the fans, they will adore him till whenever he leaves the club.
Grizz, anything you want to add to how much Klopp has completely turned your club around?
No, I think I don't want to just make it the club,
He's salty though. I'm going to balance it. He's salty. He comes out as salty.
Yeah. Look, what I will say to that is name me a successful coach of the last, I don't know, whenever, in the history of the game, apart from,
Carlo, maybe.
I can't lose a game of FIFA. I know what these guys are on.
Yeah, maybe Carlo is the ultimate gentleman. That's a good shout, Farouk, right? But then, I can't think of any other coach that hates, losing and is fine and calm. But what I will say about Jurgen Klopp in his defense is he's also one of the most realist in terms of when he realizes afterwards, he says, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. And he openly admits it in press conferences. He says, look, you guys know what I'm about. I'm a passionate man. I shouldn't have said that. And he calls it back. And you need that sense of humility. And that's the kind of humility that players love when he's dealing with them on a day-to-day basis as well. So even his saltiness can work for him, if you know what I mean, because he's very real.
I think Robertson is an embodiment of that in your left flank. But yeah, Klopp emits that aura that he somehow manages to transmit the minerals that a team need, especially a club like Liverpool, which is known to be extremely passionate and fierce in their support. But coming back to the final that we have, how important do you think, Grizz, the signing of Luis Diaz, the evolution of Mane as a centre forward, and Thiago finally coming into his stride has helped Liverpool put up this brilliant season?
Yeah, look, Luis Diaz has been an inspirational signing. Again, I knew he would be as well. I knew he's going to be an instant success. Ever since I knew that we want him and he's our number one target. Of course, essentially it was for the summer, but we brought it forward because other clubs started sniffing around. And thank God for other clubs sniffing around. Thank you, Tottenham Hotspur, for making a bid for him, which accelerated our purchase of Luis Diaz, which has enabled us to be where we are today, because I genuinely don't believe we're in a position without him, because he's been that good. He's been absolutely... Last couple of weeks, slightly worrying, and absolutely naturally, he's actually playing his 73rd game the other day of the season. You've got to remember, he's had an intense season with Porto.
Yeah.
Played every game for them. So sometimes we think he's not human in terms of his fitness, but he's been showing it last few weeks. Worryingly, just before you guys, he's not been his absolute optimum best. But yeah, he's been fantastic, man. And Thiago, there was one media narrative was going around that, he's not good enough for Liverpool and he slows us down. But I think he's made everyone who said that look like an idiot. To put it bluntly, how can you doubt Thiago Alcantara's ability to play football? I don't know.
The back heel yesterday. What was that? It was so nonchalant the way he pulled it off.
Yeah. His touch, his vision is exemplary. And not only that, his professionalism. People overlook his professionalism. This is a guy that's won, I don't even know how many career trophies, but I'm sure it's more than anyone in the Premier League. He's an insane professional, insane player, insane human being. Just a massive, massive pity and doubt he possibly will miss the final now.
Diaz, in my opinion, has been the live wire that has helped Liverpool completely make their front three dynamic again. And you can't deny the fact that, Grizz, the front three has been going a bit stale as of late before Diaz joined. And his energy he reminds me a lot of Di Maria. He was one of our great wingers, and he had that energy that was unmatched. You would think to yourself how this guy manages to keep himself going, all throughout the season. But all these guys get so much attention. But I got to ask both of you guys the impact of the subs that has helped Liverpool and Real Madrid in this long, draining season. People like Valverde, people like Camavinga, people like Konate. I read a stat. He was unbeaten in 28 games or something for Liverpool whenever he started or something. That's literally mad for someone who's coming into a new league, has to adapt to a new system. 6ix's, at one point, I remember your fans going on with the notion that he can actually replace Robertson when needed, when in previous years Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold were untouchables. 6ix's actually really gave him a real run for the money this season. What do you guys think about how much the subs help in pushing these two teams forward? I'll start with you, Bruce.
From the Liverpool point of view, it's been evident this season. The quality of our squad and subs has been probably some of the best examples will be in the final against Chelsea when Salah comes off and is replaced by Jota. Just for an example, Virgil van Dijk comes off. So imagine like when we played you guys in the first final, in the Kiev, where Salah gets injured and we bring on Lallana. Chalk and cheese, right? Apple, yeah. So we're taking off at that time the most devastating forward in world football and bringing on an aging playmaker, technically good, but I guess the comparison would be now you take off Vinicius and you bring on Isco or Hazard. The current Hazard maybe. Yeah. So that was the levels that we were talking then. Now we're blessed with taking off Virgil van Dijk and bringing on Joel Matip, who for me is one of the most underrated centre-backs in Europe. That's on record.
That guy is the real example of how pace is not everything in how you defend. It's how you position, how you anticipate.
Magnificent.
Actually, Grizz, I have this opinion that Matip actually was the best Premier League centre back this year. I don't know. It seems controversial, but given what I've watched.
Until January, he was magnificent. But then Virgil recaptured his fitness by then, because every expert, every doctor, every medical guy said Virgil will take up to about Christmas to regain that optimum level. So Virgil was shaky up to December. I agree with you. Matip was the outstanding centre-back. But trust me, I've watched every single minute of every single Virgil game, probably twice over since January. And this guy is back to his absolute immaculate best. And which is natural. It took him a year to get back.
Yeah, it was a major injury.
But my God, it's worth it. He's so good. He's so good.
Actually, Grizz, I'd love to give a honourable mention to a very young guy in your team, Harvey Elliott. I remember the first couple of games of the season, what a player that guy is. What a special talent. Holy God. And like when he got injured, I think he was at the Wolves game. I'm not sure. Was he at the Wolves game?
Leeds.
It's okay. It was a Leeds game. Like when it was a really, really bad tackle, to be honest. I really felt so sad for him, because like he was actually, making the sport his own, like, because I think he was in competition with the likes of Naby Keita, and so on and so forth, and he was like heads and shoulders above those guys at that point in time. And then he got injured, and shit just happened. It was really bad.
Wonderful talent, praying and hoping that he doesn't lose any dynamism and speed, because this kind of injury over the long term can hamper you.
Was it an ACL?
No, it was an ankle fracture.
It was an ankle, yeah.
He broke his ankle in one of the worst ways possible. Like, you could see the players' reactions on the pitch. It was bad. Mohamed Salah was like, "Oh my God!" They couldn't watch it.
Mohamed Salah's reaction said it all, actually.
Yeah. So look, he's a wonderful talent, man, and hopefully he's not been used as much since, which is the best way. Jurgen Klopp's been very sensible with him, and like said, look, I'll use you here and there, but next season we'll have a full preseason. I want you, because you're here for the next 10 years. You're not here for just the next season or two. So, which is wise.
This is a framework that most clubs tend to ignore, how a player should be eased back into the team after they're coming back from injury. But since Farouk mentioned, I totally, like, you can't forget this guy. This guy, whenever he has played, he has put up a show. Naby Keita, Chris, how much has he proven people that doubted this man's talent? Proven wrong.
Naby Keita is pretty split opinion between the fan base, Liverpool fan base. You'll find, literally, I done a show on my channel yesterday, and I do a call-in show, and one of the call-in guys was saying, look, I think he's been a flop, and of course everyone's entitled to bear their opinion, and I understood some of the points he made, but then I had to counter that. this guy's been unfortunate with injuries. And injuries are one of those things that you just can't control yourself. It's just one of those. If you get injured, you don't mean to get injured. You don't mean to not play for your club. You want to play, but it's one of those things that you can't play if you're injured. But every time he's had a consistent period in the team, he's been fantastic. You know, his last memory of Real Madrid wasn't great. He was substituted at half-time, made the scapegoat, but then any one of those players could have been substituted. We were that bad. So, but Naby Keita, I think, will start the final. So has a chance to avenge or redemption, however you want to look at it, you know, and to make sure that, you know, he's not the scapegoat, you know, in that game as well. So, look, he's a very good player. Maybe he hasn't lived up to the expectations of everyone, but for me, he's done enough this season to warrant a new deal.
Since you're on the point, Grizz, how do you think your midfield is going to line up? I heard Thiago is a huge doubt. Fabinho is kind of a doubt. How do you think the three-man midfield is going to be set up?
It's all about Thiago. It's all about Thiago. They say there's a chance, but it's 50-50. And Thiago's not a quick healer. So you guys will be, nobody likes injuries, but you guys will be very glad to know that I don't think he will make it. You know, he's just not a quick healer. 5 days is just too much of a turnaround. And so therefore, but the good thing is Fabinho will be back. So Fabinho will be back. And then we've got no option but to have Henderson and Naby as the other two in that midfield, which is, it's not the worst, but everyone needs a Thiago. Everyone needs a Thiago.
Absolutely. Like he's the one who makes the team tick, in my opinion. But Farouk, it's your turn to tell me how much people like Camavinga, people like Rodrigo, people like Valverde has stepped in this Real Madrid side, which people have quite often written off as old heads who doesn't have the required, you know, gas in their tank to keep delivering, you know, year in, year out.
So before I answer, let me just ask Grizz a quick question, actually. So Grizz, you talked about a midfield trio, like not having a choice but to play both Naby and Hendo in the midfield. What of the option of playing Bobby as a 10, as we've seen in the past against City, against United, and the past couple of seasons?
Don't you think, Farouk, too risky?
He's played them in high pressure games against City, like literally title-defining games. He's played four attackers with Bobby being a 10.
That was more for the shock element to City.
Pep needs it.
Well, actually, you know what I'm thinking about this is that actually everyone knows this. Like, as Sunates likes to use the word, like Madrid midfield doesn't have the legs, and we know that Bobby is a pressing monster. Bobby is like he's the gift to coaches. He's a gift to every coach. Actually, I don't know about his fitness levels because he hasn't played a lot in the last couple of weeks. But I feel like, you know, having Bobby there, like constantly in between the midfield and the defense, that also, as you just said, like that's what I was trying to allude to, like the element of shock, the element of surprise. And then, like, as you guys also point out, it's a very high stake game. So
yeah, Jurgen Klopp does do mad ones now and again, but it's now and again. I don't think he's the type of coach like Pep, for example, that would do something like that. He might try that.
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp believes in his formation, his go-to players, his way of playing. And then if the game's not going accordingly, we have gone to that 4-2-4 formation a couple of times this season. So, you know, if we were chasing the game, for example, you could see that happening. But he would not want to go 2 against 3 against you guys in the midfield, especially
if they happen to go with the 4-2-4, who would be the double pivot, Grizz?
If Fabinho was fit, it would be Fabinho and Henderson.
Yeah. Okay.
In my
opinion. It's gonna be just a walkman like midfield, like Fabinho, Henderson, like just get the job done.
Absolutely.
So back to your question, Sonny, actually, I'd say this, like, I think you guys know, like, at the beginning of the season, like, I wasn't very high on Camavinga because I was like, the guy has to show me things, you understand? And like, I always valued Valverde because, like, we've seen in the past couple of seasons, even last season against Liverpool as well, like, he was phenomenal. But to be honest, like, I would like reserve my praise for both Camavinga and Rodrigo because they've had impact in the game, every single game in the Champions League. You can remember, even I think in the first game of the season against Inter, It was Camavinga to Rodrigo 1-0. You can like our first game, you understand? And you just keep seeing this pattern as well, you know. Against Paris, same players. Against Chelsea, the same players. Against Man City, the same players. To be honest, like the level of play, and actually as the season went on as well, you could actually see a lot of maturity in the game that in Camavinga's game actually. And as I always say, like to me, like age is just a number. If you're on the pitch, I don't care if you're 5 or if you're 100. As long as you're on the pitch, you have to deliver. That's just it. And to be honest, like Camavinga has really, really surprised me a lot. And to be he's in this place. And as Rodrigo as well, as we always called him, like Mr. Champions League, like he's that player who just has the knack of knowing to be at the right place at the right time. So just even, you know, with a half of a chance, he's just there to bang it in, you know. I'm actually going to refer to someone, but it's not exactly that, but I'm just trying to say in the space. For example, we had Chicharito Hernandez at United. Like he was a master of space. He just knew to be at the right place at the right time. So like Rodrigo has that sort of sense as well. Like he's a very pacey winger, but also he's someone who has the knack, you know, who has a sight for the goals. And to be honest, like their contribution to the team this year cannot even, like, it cannot be overstated at all, really. Especially Camavinga, like, you know, coming in for, because we cannot deny the fact that Toni Kroos has been.
I want to stress that again, at the age of 19.
Man, age is just a number, man. No one really bothers about age.
Like, what do you think, Grizz? What do you think, Grizz? He always argues with me that age is not a factor. That you are either shit or you're either good or you're shit. You know. So
it depends. It depends. Look, I think it depends on position. I think as a defender, as a centre back, age would be a factor, in my opinion. More less important, far less important if you're a forward and an attacker. That's why you tend to see more young attackers given the opportunity and chances, as opposed to young centre backs given the opportunities. So that's the way I'd sit on the fence with that answer.
Always. you learn some Turkish, you know. But Grizz, how much do you think has people like Rodrigo and Camavinga surprised you for being referred to as the Galacticos all throughout the past couple of decades? These players have done something that is unheard of.
Not surprised me at all, because Rodrigo was very much of interest to Liverpool before he came to Madrid.
Yeah.
We scouted him a lot. Same with Camavinga. I think Camavinga has the potential to be one of the best central midfielders for the next decade. I rate him that high. I think he's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So look, to me, there's not much of a surprise there. I think they're wonderful talents, along with Valverde. You can see the evolution of the next Madrid midfield stroke team, whatever. For sure, they haven't surprised me.
Well, actually, I would say this, Grizz. Actually, you pointed out something about Luis Diaz also earlier. Like, but this player is like, given that their young age, like moving countries, you know, going from one place to another. Like Camavinga is 19, I think Luis Diaz is 24 or something like that. Like when you check distance, like you look at other players who've moved abroad. Like you've seen a lot of, you know, players who are like not bad, but like they could not adapt. For example, let's give an example of a very matured player. Di Maria left Real Madrid as maybe arguably the most important player in the Decima win. But he moved to Manchester and he couldn't adapt there. You understand? And you look at other players and so on and so forth, like you make the comparison and you keep seeing, like, you know, even Andy Shevchenko went from Milan to Chelsea and he couldn't perform, you know? Like you see these players moving countries, and especially considering like the young age, when you move like the support of the family, what is and what is not. So that's why, like, for me, it's always like, not until you see this guy perform, like you shouldn't like bank on the fact that he has the abilities to do this. I don't know what you think about this.
Yeah, look, so many factors come into play when you're talking about moving countries and etc. Personality of the player is so important. Homesickness, small thing. We don't even think about these kind of things.
Yeah.
But they're human.
Yeah.
They're human, man. You know, they may not, you know, sometimes we laugh at when these players talk about the climate. Oh, I don't like the climate. We laugh. We say, oh, come on, you're getting 100,000 plus a week, man. Who cares if it's raining?
Yeah.
No, but a player to perform at his optimum peak, you know, all these factors have to be taken into consideration. You know, the tongue, English speaking, you know, the language, whatever the country is. what kind of man manager the coach is, all these kind of things. It's not just about the guy's talent. So yeah, look, some people have it, are adaptable, very easy to adapt, have that professionalism about them throughout their life, in every aspect of their life. Some don't.
Yeah.
And so some don't progress like others.
To be fair, the English weather, it takes a toll on you. I've heard, it's kind of iffy. But
look at me, I'm the prime example, man. Look at me, a prime example of weather taking its toll, man. I look like twice my age, man. You don't need to look far, man. You don't need to look at star players, man. Just look at Grizz Khan, man.
Don't worry, Grizz, don't worry. You're being overly conscious. You're aged graceful. That's fine. But since we mentioned Liverpool also going in for people like Rodrigo, we have the tug of war of Tchouaméni going on at the moment, and it's also like what reminds us that that it's all not about the money. It's also about the heritage and the caliber of a project that attracts top talents. But that's for another.
Mbappe.
No. Let's not go there. But key battle: Vinicius versus Trent Alexander-Arnold. Grizz, please tell us, why do you think people underrate Trent's defending and Trent's ability to read the game from right back?
Narratives and not actually watching. Being stuck with an opinion that you made maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and then not having the humility to accept that opinions can change based on a player actually becoming better.
Yeah.
That's the simple and basic answer. That's what it is. People forget that this guy, all his childhood, all his under 23 career, under 21 career, in the reserves, in the young teams, played as an attacking midfielder. He only converted to fullback at the age of 19.
That's true.
People forget that the peak defenders, look at some of the defenders we speak about now. We spoke about Ramos.
Yeah.
We speak about the likes of Cafu. We speak about any great defender, the likes of Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
Ancelotti. All defenders, most defenders peak at the age of about 28 plus.
Yeah.
This guy's 23, man. He's a phenomenon. People forget that. People forget that. They just think, oh, man, Zaha ripped him up 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Rashford done him at Old Trafford 4 years ago. My guys, look at him now, man. This guy's learning the trade. And he's learned the trade. And he's not perfect.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. He has flaws as a right back. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, he's the GOAT. But my God, by the time he finishes, he will be the GOAT. I can assure a lot of people that by the time he finishes his career, he will be the GOAT. His numbers are insane.
Only guy, twinching would be Gary Neville, in his sleep, thinking about Alexander-Arnold. But Farouk Carvajal is another example. He might not be the flashiest. He might not be having the passing arsenal that Trent possesses, but his relentlessness and his ability to constantly keep himself up for even the most hostile of situations, his know-how. And we have all watched him in 2014, him as a 22-year-old who was, who came back from Germany after a loan spell.
Yeah.
How much do you think he has stepped up this season?
That's quite the question, though. Actually, the thing is that for Carvajal, he's had some iffy games. He's had some,
Sure. That's why I'm telling you. It's more incredible.
So the thing now becomes this for me, like with Carvajal, given his injuries of the past, I think the injuries are starting to take a toll on him. But to be honest, as well, like on his day, I think Carvajal is one of the best right backs in the game, to be honest, like a two-way fullback, like a complete two-way fullback where you can know that he defends and it just as watches attacks adequately, you understand? Yeah. When, as you just pointed out, he's the one thing you can always give to him is his never say never attitude. You can remember in the game against Paris, like Mbappe was literally just tormenting him, but he kept on coming back. He kept on showing up. He kept on showing up. So that's the thing, like that never say never attitude, you know, coupled with his skills and all that. So that's to be honest, and the other thing is that we don't have anyone better than him. So what can we do? Like we just, you know, have to stick to him. Like that's just the thing. But in my opinion, I think this summer we all should look for a right back. I was reading yesterday that Odriozola was going to come back. I don't know how true is it, if he's going to come back or if he's going to stay. I don't know, but we need to look for someone to also as a backup.
I'm just tired of you not backing our players, Farouk, but that's for another day. Carlo, the way he has turned around this season, especially since January end, I remember the way he was starting the season, I had no hope for him. I was his biggest critic. You know how I never hold back with our players, right? And Danny has completely turned it around. And he has the task of handling Luis Diaz on Saturday, and it's not going to be easy. He's always going to be looking behind his shoulder for the entirety of the time Diaz is on the pitch. Grizz, I want to ask you, do you think Carvajal's lack of pace is going to be crucial in how you guys break out?
He will be. It will be. But every team needs a Carvajal. I'm not going to slander Carvajal. Every team needs a Carvajal. Every team needs an Azpilicueta for Chelsea. Every team needs a Robertson for Liverpool. There are players that you can't do without. You don't have to look at the way they control the ball and how technically gifted they are. They have the mentality of champions. And Carvajal is your modern day, you know, version of that. You know, he has that mentality of a winner and a champion. So yes. You know, some Liverpool fans may look at it and say, wow, that's somewhere we can really attack and exploit. I wouldn't be so confident. I would be far confident if he wasn't playing, you know, in your back line. I don't know. What's the Vasquez? If Vasquez was playing, for example, I'd be more confident. So that's the way I look at it, but maybe I'm in the minority.
Yeah, let's do a trade. Like you guys play Milner at the left back position and we play Vasquez there.
Milner again, maybe not left back.
Right back then.
But if Milner is employed in the central midfield,
he's underrated.
Trust me, the likes of Modric will know they've been in a game.
Nah, obviously I don't want to play Milner in the middle of the pack, man. The man is a monster, man. He's just gonna keep kicking people up and down. What you know, I always
he's like our Gattuso. You know,
exactly,
he will hound you to death.
Mentioning Gattuso and Milner in the same sentence.
Actually, Grizz, I have this image of the first 2-2 draw between Liverpool and City at the first half of the season when Trent was out. Milner was a fullback and Foden had the holy God. I'm just imagining Vinicius against James Milner in that position.
Of course.
That's like a fist.
There's some things that physics, you know, take over. Physics takes over, man. You can't control certain.
Actually, but Grizz, I'm gonna point this. Actually, you talked about Trent earlier, and you talk about like his evolution as a defender. People have this image of him from 3-4 years ago. Actually, for me, you know, this season, him playing against Foden in the second 2-2 draw, and in the game against Arsenal, like against Martinelli, I actually felt like anyone who actually like watched that game could understand how much Trent has come, you know, as you talked about, from being 3-4 years ago where he was just a naive defender till now, because like he literally pocketed both Foden and Martinelli in his pocket the whole game.
And Pulisic in the 2 finals.
Actually, you know, to be honest, like you can't consider Pulisic because like Pulisic is not in the greatest of form. But like, you know, like Foden and Martinelli are at the peak of the game right now.
Yeah. But the fact that, you know, Pulisic hasn't played much, but he played him against Trent because of the idea that he can exploit him.
So, yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So from that angle, but look, as I said, Trent, you can get at Trent. You can, because he's still young, because he still thinks forward rather than backwards. There is chances to get overlap on him and maybe catch him out defensively, positionally, sorry. But he's improving and he's improved. And, you know, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. And that shows you at the age of 23, he's completed the set as well. He's won the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Champions League and the Premier League. My God, what more do you want from a 23-year-old?
Absolutely. We need to slowly start winding this up. But quick question, since we are on the topic, Grizz, where do you think Saturday's final is won and lost? Is it the cliche, the midfield, or do you think it's on the flanks? Or do you think it's in defense?
I think it's going to be the efficiency of our forwards.
Mm.
I don't know if you remember, guys, when you guys beat us 3-1 in the first leg, came back to Anfield.
Mm.
We could have been ahead by half time.
Mm.
We had chance after chance after chance, but we didn't score. Even in recent times, our forwards haven't been prolific.
Mm.
And I think this will be key, because you don't kill Madrid, you are absolutely in trouble. You are absolutely in trouble. If you don't kill Madrid when you have the chance, you are in trouble, because they will come back. They will create chances. Benzema will have a clutch moment. And that's the thing, in my opinion, where we're looking to. I most certainly think we will create chances, but we have to finish them. And if we don't, you will grow, and then we will become more and more nervous, because then you are the only club, in my opinion, in Europe that beats our legacy and heritage in Europe as a name.
Mm. Absolutely.
And that's the way it is, bro. I'm not gonna sit here and deny it, even though I'm a Liverpool fan, and I'm a proud Liverpool fan, as you guys may not know.
Yeah, we
but
don't, for sure.
But you guys have the heritage to match us at the very least. So we have to be efficient. That's why I think it will be our defense, our attack against your attack.
That's where it's gonna be. Fair play. Farouk, do you share the same sentiment?
I think it's gonna be one on the wings, especially for me. I think it's gonna be our right wing and their our right wing, their left wing. So I think, like, the Salah Mendy combo and the Trent Vinicius combo will be very, very key to winning the game, because I think whoever gets ahead there, like whoever presses each other into the space, I think it's gonna be just, yeah. And also I would look out for Mane, to be honest. Like I'd really watch out for Mane as well. Like the man is a man for the big moments, unfortunately. Like he has a knack of showing up when it matters the most. But yeah, we have the king of the clutch moment in Karim Benzema as well. So yeah, I think that cancels that out. But anyways, yeah, I just feel that win will be very important.
We leave the Benzema verdict to Grizz, but quick thoughts on Salah. He was in blistering form early half of the season. He was picked to be the Ballon d'Or winner, but as of late, even though his goal scoring tally has slightly kind of taken a hit, but his influence in deciding big games is still clutch, don't you think, Farouk?
Definitely. And that's the thing I always say. The point is that, Salah set himself such high standards that when he doesn't score in a game, it's a drought. You get the point. Yeah. So that's the issue, actually. But like when you watch Salah, like you actually see that this guy gets in this position. But like the point now becomes like either he plays the ball, he hits the bar, the goalkeeper makes an outrageous save, or like it's block after block. You get the point. So that's the thing that's happening. But he's still there, still getting in the position, still creating the chances, and what is not, you understand? He actually finished with the most assists in the Premier League. I think he had 13 assists or 12, I'm not sure. So yeah, I think like, and also we have to consider the fact that he lost 2 penalty shootouts, like with his country, and like going to the World Cup, winning the AFCON, like these are very huge thing that takes the mental toll on the player as well. You get the point. But yeah, I think just the story of his demise are just, over-exaggerated in my opinion. And also he's just a victim of his own success eventually.
For sure, absolutely. That just completely sums it up. He's a victim of his own high standard. Grizz, Benzema, on the other hand, what do you think his vein of form has been? And do you think it is, bar your Cristianos, bar your Lionel Messi's, he is up there with the rest?
For sure. For sure. He's one of the most intelligent forwards in recent times. And intelligence is not everyone is blessed with game intelligence.
Definitely.
There's very few people that are blessed with game intelligence, and he's probably one of the finest examples of it. Not the quickest, not the most physical, although he can handle himself. but my God, intelligence takes over. His technical ability, his positional play, not only for himself but for his teammates. You just have to admire it from afar.
But
we've got someone.
Did you think he would blossom into this player that he is today when he was playing with the BBC, the Cristianos and Bale?
I was a massive fan before Benzema as well. Massive fan. And then obviously he was overshadowed, obviously with the Ronaldos and the Bales and everything. But I've always been a Benzema fan. And yes, he was always not the showman, the front page headline guy.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that he has become that now, because people like this that sacrifice their role, their position, their energy, their lungs for others have to have their flowers at some point in their career. And he's getting his flowers now.
So like, if I may just quickly interrupt Grizz, I was just gonna, when you were talking about this, actually just something came to my mind. Like a couple of years back, actually, I always tell my Premier League friends that Bobby Firmino is the best striker in the Premier League, in the sense that he's the smartest striker. He's the most mobile striker. I don't know, he doesn't score the goals, but he does everything you need a player to do except score the goals. And now when you talk about, Benzema getting his fouls and all that just came to my mind. Like, how much would you rate the influence of Bobby Firmino on, the eventual evolution of Liverpool?
It came to my mind as well, but Bobby Firmino is not a good finisher.
Yeah,
that's the big difference.
Exactly, yeah.
Bobby Firmino is everything Benzema is in terms of everything else.
Yeah.
But Benzema's finishing is grade 1. Bobby's finishing is not great. I've always said that. I love Bobby Firmino. But again, Bobby Firmino has only been playing as a striker or false 9 for the last 4 or 5 years. You've got to remember he was an attacking midfielder.
Midfielder, exactly, yeah, sure.
Fair play. The last closing point. I want to propose this to both of you guys. Okay, the revenge card has always been a huge talking point. Pundits in the UK, famous Liverpool guys, the McManaman, who is still salty. I have no idea why he's so salty to this day. They all have this notion that it's refreshing that Salah actually came out and spoke about the revenge card and that he wants to face Real in the final and avenge the loss in 2018. Do you guys think that is a mental game of chess that he's trying to play, or is it him just being honest and quite emotional in to be at the wrong end of that final in 2018? I'll start with you, Grizz.
Look, revenge. Look, pundits can say what they want, guys, and these guys can talk about revenge and whatever. But
he's trying to downplay it.
No. I'm serious. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna stay honest and be honest.
Okay.
It's at the forefront. It's at the forefront of every football fan, Liverpool fan's mind. It's at the forefront of Mohamed Salah's mind. You can see it in any interview and everything. It's at the forefront of a lot of players and fans. Coaches maybe not so, because they have to find the balance of emotion going into this kind of game.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. It's normal, it's natural. Who doesn't? You just spoke about the Roma final, in Rome, the first final against us, Alan Kennedy final. I'm sure there's some Madrista diehards that would want to revenge, in the following final, and you got your revenge. And that's how it works. Now we want revenge for that, especially the way it happened.
Yeah.
Mohamed Salah gets injured. We were by far the better team before he got injured, but it was over. As soon as he went over, the mental capacity of our team wasn't able to withstand that. And then you guys took control.
Yeah.
So it's revenge. Players, pundits, and media can say what they want, but it's absolutely revenge. We have to do it, absolutely. And no doubt, if we win, no doubt you will can't wait to come back at us next time you play us. This is the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast we're dealing with, man.
Fair play, fair play. Farouk, man, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely, man. Everything Grizz just said. Like, I think for Salah personally, like it's something personal because he came out that season. I think he had 42 goals in a competition, something like that. I can't recall exactly.
That season. He was Messi, Ronaldo levels.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Like he was unbelievable. That season, unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think that for him, for him to just come into the finals, I think he played 25 minutes and it was just over. So like for him, like he has just that personal, mission to get the revenge, although like the protagonist is no longer there in Sergio Ramos, but it's still the white shirt, it's still Real Madrid. So yeah, he's just out for blood. He's just out to get revenge actually.
Let's hope there are not many dark art, at dark arts at work on Saturday and everything is clean,
Okay.
But that's just me. It's been a pleasure, Chris.
Sunaid, before you go, I just want to say something actually. So this has been dubbed the Ballon d'Or final, Grizz. So what would be your take? Like eventually, the eventual outcome, irrespective of the outcome of the game, who do you think gets the Ballon d'Or?
I think the answer is pretty obvious.
Yeah, I don't think the Liverpool players will get it. There's a very strong case for Sadio Mane to get it.
Yeah.
Because of the AFCON, because of World Cup qualifying, taking his country to the World Cup qualifiers, because of the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Champions League, if we had won it. There's an absolute strong case. But Liverpool players don't get that. We're not loved like Real Madrid.
Okay, that's good again.
We're not loved like Real Madrid are amongst the media and fan bases or whatever. But I don't think we care too much. I personally don't. It hurts the players. Mo Salah has deserved to be higher in the past.
For sure.
But it is what it is, man. As long as the team is the winner at the end, that's all I care about personally.
Fair play.
Yeah, very valid point. So
very befitting answer. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Grizz, to have you on the show to discuss this huge final that awaits us in 5 days. And this is something that honestly for us we would have never seen coming. The way that we came back, the incredible persistence that we showed to stick through our rough patches and come out on the other side unscathed. Similar to Liverpool, who had so many up and down patches in the entire season, and the way they managed to completely keep it together and make a very, very strong final stretch of the season is commendable. And in my opinion, it's again going to be a final full of drama, but not just drama, but pure entertainment and quality in every single position. These guys would walk into some of the greatest squads ever assembled, and it's not an understatement. It's not an understatement to state, So, but yeah, any final thoughts from you guys before we wrap this up?
No, just I echo what you said. Some real Hall of Famers in that Madrid midfield. Absolutely, some Hall of Famers. Modric and Kroos will be remembered forever and ever as some of the greatest central midfielders. Casemiro, the unsung hero, very much like Fabinho for us.
Yeah.
And Virgil van Dijk, Trent, I have no doubt in my head will be Hall of Famers by the time they finish their career or come to the end of their careers as well. So it's a magnificent final setup, and hopefully it lives up to the expectations of many. But yeah, apart from that, thank you for having me on.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Farouk, any final thoughts? That's it, right?
Yeah, man, that's just it, man. Just thanks, Grizz, for coming onto the show, man. It's really big of you to come, and yeah, we really appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Let's hope the boys get the job done. It's gonna be mad on Saturday. But until then, folks, Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.